everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner.
And I'm Mitch. I am bulking up for the weight loss competition in January.
Bulking or booking?
Bulking.
Bulking.
I'm definitely, yep. I've been, I don't know if I've talked about this. I bought a smoker.
Yeah, we have not talked about this, but man.
I have been smoking everything. So I made my own bacon. I've been meatloaf twice. That is fantastic in a smoker.
You smoked
And I did a pie.
pie?
I did a key lime pie in there. It's really good.
What did you smoked like Chex Mix or
Chex
something?
Mix too, and Tammy's fighting me on that. She said I can't smoke the next
Everything?
Chex Mix. Yeah.
How about pickles? Have you smoked pickles yet?
Not yet. That's a good idea.
I would maybe. Pie, huh?
Yeah, key lime pie.
And that was good.
It was. I thought it was fantastic.
It's interesting. Yeah, you got a smoker
I like to eat.
and have been sending me pictures, and it makes me frustrated that I'm not doing it because I have a smoker. Although yours is, I looked at not yours. I looked at the smaller version, the tailgate one or whatever, and because it's a pellet style, and
It is so easy.
It's almost set it and forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got those wireless thermometers. It all goes to my phone.
That is, yeah.
And
Man.
the thermometer, it tells you when it's done based on temperature. Easy. It couldn't be more easy.
Yeah, I need to relook at that because I like my smoker. I've done a lot of things in it, but it's a lot of work. I mean, it is a fair amount of work.
This is no work. Like you got to clean it.
It's easier than grilling.
Yeah. You got to clean. The cleanup can be, but basically you just take, when you're done, you just take the grates out. I need a bigger sink. That would be good. But
Don't you have one outside? A sink?
I don't.
Oh, I thought you had one in your garage there.
But I just take and you vacuum out all the ash out of the bottom, and you just have a shot back, and you're good to go again next round. And there's a gate you can change your pellets, so you can change like if you want a light smoke, a dark smoke, or like a heavier smoke. But my next thing I want to do, I think I want to do prime rib, and I want to do a double smoked ham. But
double smoked ham, huh?
buy a ham that's already smoked and then do it in the smoker and glaze
gotcha.
it. I'm seeing stuff pop up all over. YouTube is an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is. I tell you, it is a great place to get motivation to do that stuff and just find recipes and how-tos on how to do all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so welcome to the I Don't Know Smoking podcast.
Yeah. Less running, more eating. Yeah.
Yeah. Hope you enjoy this content. We're bringing this and other recipes.
Or this is why I run?
Yeah. This is why I run podcasts. But yeah, we do want to talk about running this week.
Yeah.
Specifically, some things that you and I have both been dealing with. Me longer, you more recently over the last year.
And everybody around us.
Yeah, true.
I think everybody, like, my wife has not.
Yeah,
my wife
Both.
has not run much, maybe a couple miles since we did the Missoula Marathon and half.
Yeah.
And she needs to get back into it. Or, she's told me that because, different things. She's like, I don't know what it is. I'm just not motivated. Her running partner's been injured. So I think that's been part of the problem, too. So just the motivation to get back out.
Yeah. So we want to talk about how to get started, but also how to get back into running.
Are almost the same thing.
Almost identical. The only thing is it's more, I would say, more dangerous to get back into it.
Right, because when you're just starting out, you might get uncomfortable and then back off, which is the right thing to do. When we think we know better, we'll just keep going because, hey, I can run 10 miles on the first day, and then we really do some damage, it seems like.
Yeah, or can. Oftentimes will.
Yeah, and like what we talked about just before this, there's, different people can handle different things. Some people can do that. Not everybody can.
Not many can, I would say. I would say the vast majority can't. And so it's better to err on the side of caution and not jump out there and do whatever you think you can do just because you've done it before. And that's the dangerous part is mentally part of the getting started with running, and you hear this a lot, is it's so mental. Running is so mental. And once you've trained yourself up mentally to go, well, I've ran a marathon. So you start off and you're like, well, I can go out there and run 6 miles. No big deal.
And you can.
Some people can.
Most of the time. I can do it.
Yeah, but a lot of people can't. You're going to get hurt. Depending on where you're at. If you have completely reset to square one, you're better off starting off at like a 3 or 4 miler.
Well, that mental side of it, I ran a marathon with no training. When was that? Not October, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't run in like 4 or 6 weeks. It was a hard recovery from that.
Yeah.
I did it.
It hurts. It hurts. A marathon's still a marathon, no matter. The distance is the distance.
Right.
So, yeah, we just wanted to kind of, we have a lot of people that listen to this podcast that are experienced runners, and that's great. We also have people that are not experienced runners. And hopefully this is getting shared with people that aren't even runners, but that maybe want to get into running. And so we just want to kind of go down a laundry list of, hey, if you want to get into running, this is what you should be looking at. We've been there and walked through this before. You especially have walked through a lot of these.
It's been
because of your introduction.
It's been months. This year has been a rough year.
Well, I mean your start.
Right.
When you first started, you see, and this is something that you and I talked about before. When you got one of the first things Mitch and I talked about putting this together was, if you're training for a 5K, do you go visit the local running store? Mitch's thought was yes. Because you had issues. You immediately had issues with the shoes that you had.
Right. And I was just before I even thought about running, I was on a weight loss competition at work that turned out to start all this madness. And I was only walking. I was walking to get exercise with the neighbors, and I was just wearing street shoes, like not even athletic shoes. I tore the crap out of the back of my feet. Like I had blisters, and I think I could have prevented that by having decent shoes, just out walking. And I think that matters. And you come from a place where I think you can use any shoe for a 5K.
Yeah, and I said I don't think you need to for a 5K, but I also come from a place where I am fortunate in that I can wear most any shoe. I'm pretty neutral in the shoe and my pronation and all of that. That I can, generally speaking, run in just about any shoe that doesn't have an extreme like fix to it, where people are over or under pronated. I think that's what it is, right? Where they go check you out.
Yeah.
And I found out actually, and it's interesting. I say that. I think for a 5K, I would be okay. But when I was training for, I believe it was an 8K, I was running in a Asics Gel Nimbus or something like that. And they're actually whatever they were doing was opposite of it. If I needed anything, it would have been opposite of what those shoes were giving me. And they were causing me some issues. So, I mean, so the reason I thought of, no, don't worry about it. Don't go to the local running store. The only reason I say that is because I think if that's an obstacle for you to get out there, don't let that be an obstacle.
Yeah, I hear
get
that
out there.
Because I think that we can make too many excuses for ourselves.
Yep.
So that's a good point. I know when I was on the treadmill, like I was starting to walk, and that's where I started. If I wore a pair of tennis shoes, and I just remember wearing like a regular cotton T-shirt, and I chafed the crap out of myself. Just going a couple miles.
Yeah.
So I come from a place where I think it's important to have the right gear. What I end up doing, and the embarrassing story I think I've told before, is walking on that treadmill in my underwear, basically, just
in order to get in the.
I was in my own house, so if somebody wanted to look in the windows, I guess that's on them.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, shouldn't be creeping in people's windows.
Yeah, teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. But I just think it matters. And when I bought better equipment, I could tell when I finally purchased a pair of shoes, it was like night and day for me. But I'm a heavy guy. And you think about it, when I first started walking on a treadmill, I weighed probably 280 pounds.
Yeah.
So big difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference there. Yeah. So it is important. I would say it is good if there's excitement behind it. I think anytime you get new gear, that's exciting, at least to me. I love getting a new pair of shoes, a new running coat or shirt or
more
whatever.
Technology. I love technology.
Love it. So if that's a motivation for you, I would say go do it. Go check out the local running store and have them fit you.
Or a way to treat yourself, like as you progress. Because really, you need to start out slow. And what's that look like? I did Couch to 5K.
Yeah.
And it is an awesome program. You can actually, if you have technology or your phone, you can download it to your phone. It'll tell you when to go and stop.
Yeah, and there are so many things free that you can do that with now.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to pay for that stuff.
Right. And a lot of those, for the beginner and for the 5 and 10K, they really can fit a broad audience.
And what it tells you, even if you read it, is if you have a tough week, do that week over again.
Yeah.
You don't have to progress that quickly.
Yeah. So one of the things you can do is visit your local running store. I would say do it if it's not an obstacle. If it's an obstacle, don't worry about it. Throw the shoes on that you have and go get out the door and start running or run walking. Yeah, that's a popular start. The next thing would be start slow. We kind of touched on this. Start slow and listen to your body.
So this doesn't matter if you are just starting out running or if you're trying to come back. If you're coming back, you probably have the equipment. You know how important good equipment is. But I think that's where we make the mistake is when we think we know better is we do too much. Like we're going to go out, and I've been doing this lately. So I was out there, and I was listening to Terrence. I was doing the 3-3-3. I start creeping up. 4-4-4, and he says, maybe it's time to do the 3-5-8. My knees feel decent because I've been having a knee problem, and then I go out and I do 6, I think, and I'm talking to my running friends, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna get up to the 8 that we did every day before here pretty quick. Come back, take a shower, get ready for work. Everything's fine. When you have issues, tying your shoes can be a problem. So I tied my shoes. I didn't have a problem. I go to get in my truck to go to work, and my back is like out. Like I wasn't even comfortable. I was like, how did I go through all of that? And then my body's telling me, I think you did too much.
Wow.
So I had to back off again. So I've been just starting to get back out there. I took another week off and trying to get back out.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, starting slow, that's a given, especially if you're new. Some of the people hearing this may be a very aggressive type A personality where they're just going to get after it. I would caution and just say, depending on your age, youth can definitely cover a lot of things, or you can get away with a lot the more youthful you are. But for us a little older, I would say definitely be careful, go slow, and there's lots of time. It does not take long. Once you go down the road of building up, it doesn't take long to get up to whatever distance you want.
It really doesn't, but it just seems like, and I talked to you about this, just the holidays and then the darkness, and it's a tough time of year to be motivated. Mm-hmm. So it's like getting out, and it's like I call it a win if I can get out for 3 or 4 miles right now.
Yeah,
just where I've been. So it's been good.
It hasn't been a help, and I have 1,000 excuses. I use every single one of them, but it is tough when you want to get out the door at 5 o'clock and it's already dark.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Well, would you say your new excuse as we were running this morning? We ran by and that shed looks pretty good back there. That'd be when I have to paint that trim. That'll be my next excuse. I think is what you said.
I use everything. And we did say listen to your body. I would say, more from the coming back from injury side of things. But even if you're new, if something's a twinge and it doesn't feel right, listen to your body. It doesn't gain you anything by pushing through.
True, but it's just such a hard trying to figure out if it's just a twinge or if it's an actual injury sometimes. But I know, I can tell I picked up the miles this week. I am sore. I'm going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a difference.
You got to be okay with it.
There's a difference between sore and that, like, if your back said something to you, you would listen.
Yep.
Just your legs being sore or you being uncomfortable because you're a little bit tired, that's different, So yeah, learn to understand what your body's telling you and listen to it. Like, don't push through something that is an issue.
Because building up your miles, soreness is good. You're rebuilding. So it's good.
Yeah, and I would say our experience and what we are talking about is purely from experience. It's not from we went to school and learned a whole bunch. Like, that's what we leave up to the experts.
School of getting off your butt.
Yeah. There's two different things here. The mindset of the experienced runner is definitely one of you understand a lot. The one that doesn't, the one that's just getting started, you're going to be sore a little bit. So just be sure to listen to that. If you're coming back from injury, get looked at if you got to get looked at. Have that injury checked out.
So when are you going in?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Brian getting into Western States has made me think, goodness, what do I do? Because, I'm going to have to go get looked at. I'm going to have to go get my knee checked out. And if they're telling me that it is we'll schedule you for surgery in 2 months because it's not going to be lickety split, So if I go get looked at in January, it's going to be March before I get a surgery. I'm just guessing. April, May, June. That leaves me 3 months to be ready to go, to recover and train, to be ready to go to pace Brian. Now, that's if I were to pace. Now, if I don't have to pace, I would guess he wouldn't mind a pacer for a couple of those sections, which would be like 17 or 15. My goal would be, depending on who he ends up having go, I was actually hoping to pace for like a big chunk of the back end, like from Forest Hill on in, because it depends on who goes. And it depends on family dynamics for him.
Because Ashley will go with I'm
hoping,
pretty sure they'll have the baby with them. So maybe you'll babysit while she's.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm hopeful that they have more dynamics than that, but we'll see.
He'll be like 2.
Yeah,
it'll be fine. He won't need that much.
Yeah. So we'll see if he ends up having another pacer go. Maybe he won't even need me to pace, and I'll just be crew, which would be fine too. I would be fine with that. But it depends on who he has go and what he wants from me. Mm-hmm. I may delay, or I might have to get it done just so I can actually do it. That's the other thing I was thinking. What happens if I really can't run trails because the knee just gives out too much?
Right.
Well, then that's a whole different issue. I might have to get on it and get that thing done and get ready. So I don't know. The nice thing is, at that stage of the race,
he's not going fast.
He's not going super fast.
No.
Or if he is, great. Go and knock it out.
Yeah.
And I'll get picked up later. So we'll see. So I don't know. All that to say, I'm not 100% sure yet. I gotta figure that out. But right. I do want to go get looked at. But anyway, go get looked at. Pay attention to that injury if you're coming back from injury, and don't ignore it and just think, oh yeah, it's healed, because it takes a while. Mm-hmm. The next thing would be just find your motivation. So from a new runner's standpoint, the motivation is probably just getting into running and or a race. Somebody has talked to you about a race, or you've seen somebody that did a race, or you saw a video of a race and you want to do that race. That's great. Find your motivation.
But make sure you give yourself enough time.
Yeah.
Like, don't pick something that's ridiculous that you think you're going to do in a month.
I want to do a half marathon next week.
Well, you've done that.
Well, yeah. It was like 8 days, or I don't know what it was, but it was way fast. It was way too quick. I got hurt.
Yeah.
There's a perfect example. I ended up with a horrible IT band issue out of that.
So my wife and daughter have signed up for a 10K coming up in Memorial Weekend for Bayshore. So they're doing Bayshore. I think that's far enough out, but she has not run hardly at all since the end of June.
When is March, April? When is that? April?
It's May.
May.
It's the end of May.
Oh, yeah, May.
Yeah.
That's time. She's got time.
Right.
Just got to start.
But she's got to start.
Yeah. Got to get on it. Yeah. So, yeah, find your motivation. For some people, it might be running in a group. If you're a new runner coming back from injury and you stepped away, and you probably stepped away from the group because Mitch can talk about this, it's hard when you're injured to stay active in a group when you're bummed because you can't run.
These guys have been really good about that. Like I start with them, and then we do have a turn off, and if I'm doing 3, I do that little turn off, and I can get 3 in.
Yeah.
I've been pushing it and going to 4. I know they're running faster than me. I guess they do their tempo after I'm the warm up. So yeah, and it is. It's tough to think like, well, I'm slowing them down. I guess I've slowed down enough for them that it doesn't bother them. So they've been decent about it.
Yeah. So find your motivation. Get connected with that. If it's running in a community, running in a group, do it. Get into a group and get back into running.
So many races out there.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about that, just all of the races that are coming up anyway, just in this area. There's a lot more than you think there is.
Yeah. And that's a perfect example for me, is I know I need a race on the calendar. That's what motivates me. I love running. I love everything about it. But the motivation that gets me out the door is knowing I have a race on the calendar.
Yeah, we talked about that. Like, I know the winter challenge is coming up. You can do a 50K in a couple weeks.
That's a little bit quick. Didn't we?
Soon?
Let's go back. Let's go back a couple of notes here.
Oh,
the
that's
goal,
too soon.
Yeah, realistic goals.
I was talking for you.
Oh, well, no, yeah.
Groundhog is coming up. That's coming up.
Groundhog half, maybe.
I think
thought about that. Groundhog half, and then we'll get into some other goals. Yeah, right. We'll get into some other goals.
I'm trying to push you.
I know.
Too much, probably.
But mine is signing up for races. Whatever your motivation is, find it and do it.
For me, it's travel. I like to travel for races, and that's not always an option for everybody with vacation time and just the cost of it. But that does motivate me. Like,
and you're looking at next year. Mm-hmm. You're getting some plans in place that is going to set that motivation to get out the door, stay healthy, get everything in place so that you can actually get your training in for these.
Yeah, so far I'm only pacing, so that's all I've got signed up for.
Yeah, and then we kind of touched on this, but it is a note I made. Just pay attention to how you feel on your run, and that does mean if you're a little bit sore, a little bit sore is okay if you're new. But be okay with cutting runs short too. As a new runner, if you're training for, it doesn't matter the distance. Let's say you're training for a 5K and that 5K training plan says you're supposed to run 2 miles. If it's just a bad day and you've had a rough week and you're just at wit's end and you can only get in 1.5 miles, that's okay.
I know. We beat ourselves up over that.
We beat ourselves up and we think, I can't do this. I'm a failure, whatever. No, that's how training plans work. I mean, it's just, they're meant to push you. They're meant to build you up. Mm-hmm. So just, you got to be okay to understand or just understand that the training plans are not a rock solid. If you don't do this, you're not going to complete your goal. So the training plans are just a guide to help get you there. Sometimes you got to fluctuate with that training plan. Yeah, we said have a realistic goal, time frame. Make sure you give yourself enough time for whatever race that you're going to sign up for, whatever goal you set for yourself, and and have goals. Have goals that are going to keep you motivated. And for us, we have a ton of goals for next year.
Right. From races, but also for the podcast.
We're setting some goals for ourselves. And for me, it's going to be getting some races on the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of stuck. I'm, in the like, what do I do right now? Because I know you talked about an ultra next year, but
depending on how things go,
right,
when I get my knee looked at,
right.
But I am planning to sign up for some races, and I have a couple I'm looking at, and actually on the next week's episode, we're going to talk about some of those. You're going to talk about a couple of yours, and we're going to go over goals for the podcast and also recap what the podcast looked like in 2023.
Yeah.
Because we took some time off.
Yeah.
But I was really excited about the stats that we saw, even given the time that we took off.
I had nothing.
So we're going to go over that on the next episode. Be looking for that. But yeah, we wanted to just kind of touch on some of these simple things that either get you into running, get you out the door, get you started, because from a new runner's perspective, it can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating, especially if you've picked like a half marathon as your distance. I think 5Ks and 10Ks are pretty non-intimidating for most people. I think they're very, something that people can grasp and think, oh yeah, I can get there. But I would say anybody can do a half even. I mean, it just takes just being disciplined, getting out the door, something that I'm not good at.
Even a full. I would say so too. I think anybody can do a full. It's just, I think where people get stuck, and I don't think about that, is the time commitment for the training. Because it just means like every Saturday you're out there for a long run. Just, you got 3 hours at any given Saturday that you're going to be kind of out.
Yeah, and I would say...
And that's what I do for fun, though, so I don't think about it that way.
Yeah, yours is a little bit different, but I would say that it's everything, just like anything in life, it's all about perspective. When you're training for your first marathon, it seems overwhelming, some of those Saturdays, but then you start training for an ultra, and those Saturdays seem easy. And then you start getting into the triathlon world, and man, training for a marathon is easy
compared to that. Because when I was training for an ultra, it was back-to-back Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sundays become really long, and even your midweeks.
Yeah,
I mean, you're just putting in some big mileage. So it's all perspective, and a 5K training for the first marathon, it looks overwhelming, and then they look back at the 5K, and that was easy.
Yeah, you think about it though, even like a 5K, to think it can be overwhelming too. Like if you haven't ever done it.
For the first timer. And I would say that too, one of the things that I remember, and I would put this out as a little tip or just something to remember, the first time you're training for whatever you're training for, so for an example, training for my first half marathon, when I got up to, let's say, 6 or 7 miles, it might seem daunting to go, oh my gosh, they want me to run 8 miles next week. I've never ran that before. But if you break it down and you go, well, I ran 7 this week, that is only 1 mile. I can run 1 mile in my sleep now, right? So you just got to tell yourself, it's, again, the perspective game. It's only a mile. That's nothing. When you're training and you start building up those miles, break it down into that last piece that they have you increase. It's a short little piece they're increasing.
The cliche part is like the worst part is getting out the door. That's the truth.
It really is. Yeah. So hopefully those things can help motivate the new runner, motivate the guy or gal getting back out there after injury. And we really do want to make sure that people are able to do it in a successful way, keep them motivated, and hopefully in some way you can pick up a tidbit about, something here today that helps keep you motivated, keeps you out the door, and keeps you training for the next whatever race you're doing or whatever run you want to do. It doesn't have to be a race. It could be rim to rim to rim, which isn't a race.
Yeah.
But it's a goal.
Yeah. So maybe we'll take that to the next level at some point and say, you know what, you've been doing the same old. What are you going to do to challenge yourself and make it exciting again? That will be we'll do an episode on that too, just about doing
good point,
stupid stuff.
I was looking at Barclay fall. The Barclay Fall, what is that? The
Fall Classic.
Fall Classic. Mm-hmm. I was looking at a write-up on that today, and I thought, man.
We'll do an episode. It's going to be, what is going to be your new stupid?
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Because we all have those.
Yeah. I think that would be fun.
I miss the...
When you're sitting around with your buddies and you're like, that challenge, and then the next thing you know, you're signed up for the stupidest race in the world, or...
Let's go do this. This seems like a good idea.
Yeah. That gets me excited.
That's what's got me here. What I've done so far and looking at next year.
Yeah.
Well, good. Hopefully you guys can take something away from this and apply it to whatever it is you're applying to, or share this with somebody that's new. Hopefully not just this podcast, but one of the podcasts that we've shared in the past, and podcast that we share going forward, or you get connected with any podcast. Just get connected with a podcast that motivates you, get you out the door and get you running. Mm-hmm. It's a great sport to be involved with. It's a great community to be involved with. So share this with somebody that's either thinking about getting into running, they're starting their first 5K, building up to their first marathon or ultra or whatever. And hopefully this just provides some motivation and some guidance.
And our voices are very soothing on your run. So
soothing.
So just, put in the headphones, listen to us on the run. We'll get you through. But yeah, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on your favorite listening platform for podcasts. Like, share, subscribe. Give us a comment. Tell us about your takeaways from your first whatever run, goal, 5K, 10K, half. Tell us about the snafus that you ran into. The biggest snafus. Yeah.
Or biggest learnings. I would love to hear about that. Shoot us an email, make a comment, whatever. But with that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.